Welcome back to the Seaboard Central, everyone, in the April 2024 layout update. There is a lot that's happened this past month, so without further ado, let's get started on the show. And the first up is my scale trains GP30s that specifically this 231, I had some issues with it after I painted it. I had to end up sending it back to Scale Trains. They did some work on it. I got it back, and the ditch lights and the current keeper inside the decoders still wasn't working. But thanks to my friend Jason at Bigfoot Trains, he figured it out, and we got it all set up and it's rolling and it's working out great. It's paired with the 230. These are the two of the oldest units on the entire Seaboard Central roster, and they show the very first paint scheme that came out in 1990. Was a red and a gray paint scheme. And here I am just using it in Raglan, on the Raglan switcher. Just switching some cars, and they really work very nice. Great running engines. I'm pretty pleased with them. So right here, I'm just working on the yard, lining up the outbounds into inbounds, kind of pre-staging for the next operating session. In next week's video, I'm going to go over the switch list, an easy switch list form that anybody can use, and I'll show you how I incorporate that into operations. So be sure to tune back in for that one. I think it'll be a pretty popular video. Should be able to help a lot of people out. One last look at the GP30s before we move on to some other things. And the big thing that I've been working on this past month is the engine terminal here in Gadsden on the Seaboard Central. I was able to save some of the older items from my last engine terminal, but I did weather them up a little bit better. And I still got more details to add, but this one is turning out really nice. I'm really pleased with it. I've used a Walther's modern fueling facility here. You can see some of the components from that. All right, here's looking down on it from a different angle. And you can see right here in between the tracks, I've added some oil stains from where the engines are parked here. They do leave evidence of dripping the oil out of these diesel locomotives. Another thing I plan on adding is some sand piles where they've tested the sanders, and you'll see evidence of that. Just a little bit about it. These are the sand towers that are used to load each end of the locomotive. Like here's an outlet here that can be used to fill sand, and it's right here on the other end of the switcher. Most of the time on these kinds, they're right here. There's the little sand filler hatch, and they get the sand from this large tower right here, and you can see this is where a covered hopper will be brought in to unload the sand. Now, another part about this fueling facility, this right here is, of course, your fueling rack where they can put the fuel in. This little device here is where they can add oil and like an antifreeze coolant for the radiator. So as I said, I still do plan on adding a whole lot of details, especially in this area right here where the sand is unloaded, and tank cars will be spotted up with biodiesel, and there'll be storage tanks for that here. These two tanks right here represent wastewater and used lube oil. So one of the things that some locomotives are equipped with, not that switcher down there, but these have a toilet that's located inside the nose, and there is a little outlet for the toilet to be drained. I'll have to put some hoses to represent where they hook that up when they service the toilets on these locomotives. And that's just where that wastewater ends up going to this tank here. Here's a look at the back side of the shop complex, and you have shop track 1 and shop track 2. And then this track right here, back here, is the Evans rail car service facility, where it's basically a rip track and works on bad ordered cars and repairs them, and also does some clean out work, cleaning out cars to get them ready for service. Here's an overhead shot of Evans rail car from the other side. And having a rip track or a car service building just like this is a great way to show cars that need to be upgraded or updated, or bad order cars on your layout, have a place to go to. And this is what I'm going to use to bring new cars on the layout that need weathering or upgraded to different wheels or couplers. It'd be a good way to bring them in this facility. They'll go in like they just came out of the box. They'll come out weathered and look completely updated. So stay tuned for that. So here we have a look at the asphalt area and the concrete sections, and there's a couple of great products that I use to get this look. For the asphalt, I used this product by AK, and it's their asphalt, acrylic asphalt. It looks just like it, but I did do something else to it. And that was, on top of that, I added the Arizona and Rocky Mineral asphalt paving powder, and I lightened it up with their concrete powder and filthy gray industrial dirt to make it a little lighter. And it does look weathered and worn. It's not perfect, and neither is the real stuff. For concrete areas, besides the concrete pieces that came with the kits, in the shop area, I used this AK concrete material, and it does an excellent job of simulating the effects of concrete. Easy to weather, and you can see it looks really nice. So as I mentioned before, I'm modeling a rail service facility that includes a cleanout track. And what a cleanout track does is they clean out the interiors of boxcars from leftover dunnage and debris, and also clean out hopper cars with a pressure washing system. And I plan on adding something similar to that with some tanks and some apparatus to do the pressure washing. But one of the things that's generated is a lot of debris, and for that you need dumpsters. And you see a truck here delivering a fresh, clean dumpster, and it's moved a loaded one out of the way. Now, how I modeled this load is a lot of times you end up, especially with laser cut kits, you end up with a lot of the little leftover pieces. And I just simply cut them up into small pieces. It looks like a bunch of wood and things of that nature. And it really does pull that off, just like a scrap load of dunnage, of construction debris. So for the grand finale of this layout update, I'm going to introduce the newest members of the Seaboard Central family. Coming out of shop track number 1 is freshly painted Seaboard Central 278 and 279. Yes, you're looking at and you're seeing it's right. An actual GE locomotives on the Seaboard Central roster. These two Atlas B40-8s were painted and decaled and weathered by SC Prototypes. And I'll have a link in the description. And the DCC work was done by Georgia Bigfoot Trains. He added ditch lights to them. They're both equipped with loc sound decoders that include current keepers. I added the air conditioning to the roof and changed the horns out to 5-chime horns. And I really like how they turned out. I always like the looks of these B40-8s. I'm not a fan of the 6-axles, the C40-8s. I call them trash 8s. I think they're terrible locomotives. But the B units, or B 4-axle units, were actually a really good locomotive. Let's run them over to ready track number 1 so they can get some fuel and sand. There's the horn on them. Five miles per hour in these engine tracks. With your bell on. One last look at them. These B40-8s wear the newest paint scheme on the SC. It's a scheme that came out in 2012. It's a darker blue color. If you look behind them, there's a GP38-2 number 2004. It wears the lighter blue scheme that existed between 1995 to 2012. That was the scheme that came out on the engines, and you'll see that show up on most of the Seaboard Central units. I do plan on one day doing a special video on the locomotives and why the Seaboard Central has these particular models and others, what makes up the Seaboard Central roster. I can tell you that these B40-8s are ex-Conrail/NS units that were sold by Norfolk Southern in 2006, and they were a great deal for the Seaboard Central, especially for the trackage between Savannah and Macon. You can only use 4 axles. So they were bought at a good price and showed up at a good time. So with that, here comes the end to another Seaboard Central monthly layout update. I hope everyone has a great week, and thank you so much for stopping by. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and leave a comment. And so until next time, thanks for tuning in to Seaboard Central, and happy model railroading, everyone.